So, have you ever stopped to think about something like the Major League Baseball season? I mean, how in the world do they get their entire massive schedule onto the calendars of literally millions of fans? It's a huge logistical puzzle. Okay, let's get into it and see exactly how they pull it off.
First, just to set the stage, let's wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this thing. We're talking about 2,400 individual games in just one season. That is an absolute mountain of information that has to be managed perfectly.
So that brings us to the big question, right? How do you get all of those games onto all of those different calendars and do it in a way that's super simple and actually works every time? You can't just blast out a giant email and cross your fingers. You need a real solution, something powerful but also really easy for any fan to use.
And that, of course, is where some very clever, purpose-built technology comes into play. Yeah, this is not some off-the-shelf app. This is a custom-engineered solution built from the ground up for this one gigantic task.
It's called the AWS Calendar Invite Server. And really, you can think of it like this super specialized engine that's built on Amazon's cloud. Its entire reason for existing is to create, send, and, this is the important part, manage calendar invites on a scale that is just mind-boggling.
So, how does this thing actually work? Well, let's break it down into three simple parts. First, you've got the foundation. That's the super reliable and powerful AWS cloud. Then you've got the messengers. These are a whole series of specialized APIs that do all the heavy lifting, sending and receiving all the info. And finally, you have the interface, which is just a simple web page where a fan can interact with the whole system.
And the whole point of all that complex tech in the background is to make the experience for the user incredibly, almost ridiculously simple. For the fan, this whole massive operation boils down to just one single click.
To really see what this feels like, let's just follow a fan. We'll call him Zach. So Zach is on the MLB website, and he's checking out the upcoming schedule, looking for a game.
And there it is. He spots the game he wants to see. Braves versus Chicago on August 18th. Now, he doesn't have to copy anything. He doesn't have to create a new event in his own calendar. He just sees a little button right there. And he clicks it. That's it. One little click.
And boom, just like that, the system does its thing. The APIs fire off in the background, and a perfectly formatted calendar invitation just appears in Zach's email inbox, all ready for him to accept. It's simple, it's seamless, and it is incredibly fast. No fuss, no extra work, it's just there.
Okay, but sending the invite, that's really only half the story. The truly cool part, the real magic of this system, is what happens after that invite is sent. This is where it goes from being just a handy scheduling tool to something way, way more powerful.
I mean, think about it for a second. Normally, when you send a calendar invite, it's kind of a one-way street, right? You send it out into the void and just kind of hope for the best. But what if it didn't have to be like that?
This right here is the absolute key. This server doesn't just send and forget. No, it actually maintains a live connection to that invitation. It's always listening, actively monitoring the RSVP status for every single invite it sends out.
And this is the perfect example of that feedback loop. So let's say Zach accepted the invite at first, but a few days later, he's not so sure he can make it. He opens up his own calendar, Google Calendar, Outlook, whatever, and just changes his status from yes to maybe. The second he does that, the system on the other end sees it and updates its own master dashboard instantly.
So what just happened? Well, that simple, static calendar invite just got transformed. It's not just a notification anymore. It has become a live, two-way communication channel between the league and the fan.
And this is huge, because that ability to get information back from the calendar turns a simple date into valuable data, and that, my friends, is an absolute game changer for anyone trying to manage events at this scale.
So why does this matter so much? Well, because you've basically turned a simple scheduling tool into a powerful data engine. Now you can get real-time RSVP data to see how much interest there is in a game. You can use that info to send targeted promotions to people who are on the fence. And hey, if a game time changes, you can update the details on thousands of calendars all at once.
Just imagine, you're an event manager looking at a live dashboard like this one. At a single glance, you can see exactly how many people have accepted an invite to a game, who's a maybe, and so on. It gives you a real-time pulse on fan engagement for every single event. It's incredible insight.
So, if there's one big thing to take away from all this, it's the fundamental change to the calendar entry itself. It's not just a static, dead-end piece of information anymore. It is now a living, breathing piece of data that can communicate and provide real insight.
Now, this whole system was built for sports, but you can see how the idea could apply to almost any industry, right? It really makes you wonder, as all of our digital tools get smarter and more connected, what other everyday things are going to start talking back to us? And when your calendar starts sharing your plans, what is it going to say about you?